take you from where you are. She's here to motivate, here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Inspiration, motivation. The Akia Garnett Show. Recreation, reformation. The Akia Garnett Show. Dedication, expectation. The Akia Garnett Show.
Hey, it's Akia Garnett here with you. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Akia Garnett Show, and welcome to this segment. I am so excited because this topic is something that is near and dear to me, as I have shared with many people in my social world before. The whole concept of departing from sugars and accepting that we have a body that we have to take care of isn't one that I have learned very easily. Some people are better at it than others. Some of us have good gifts that we can take advantage of right away, and others of us who all have gifts as well need a little bit of hand holding in order for us to move toward a healthier living and mindset. And so today's show is dedicated to that, living and feeling better. Tends to be on people's minds is this whole concept of New Year's resolutions. Now, I'm not a big person on resolutions, to be honest. I just, over the years, found that I never kept with them. I had great ideas in the beginning for what I wanted to do for the year, but somewhere around January end, I fell off that truck. And I did a little research because I was curious as to how many other people found themselves in that same situation. And the research that I found suggested that I was certainly not in the minority, but in the majority. So many people, I think over 45% of people, at least Americans, create New Year's resolutions. But by the year's end, only 10% really kept with those. And of that 10%, less than, that actually stuck to it in a way where they can consider it to be documented and something that they would consider 100% success. Now, I was looking for some real data on this, and I found that Harris Interactive actually did a piece in the Journal of Clinical Psychology. And in that journal, they published some statistics that I thought were pretty alarming. Of that 45%, like I said, only 10% actually fully committed to it. And the most interesting thing is that of all of the New Year's resolutions that tend to be created, 21% of those tends to be around weight loss, which is not a big surprise to me. Many people also, upwards of 14%, say that they want to improve their finances. And another 14% also say that exercise is really big for them, and it's something that they want to be able to increase more of. This is some data that was published in 2014, but I still feel that it's relevant today. And I was just wondering, where you are in that whole mix. For me, I made a commitment a few years ago to change some things that I was doing in my own life. And one of those things was to change the ways in which I eat, the things that I eat, the ways in which I care for my body. Now, in my mind, moving toward healthier living includes healthier eating. And in my mind also, healthier eating is a huge part of that of the entire equation. That's just the way that I process it. I know many people may process it differently than me, but healthy eating is such an important topic that it certainly is challenging to move toward without real hesitation. What does it mean to change the ways in which we eat, and how will that upset the apple cart in terms of the ways in which we live, how we spend time with people? Here's the end of the year, and I'm thinking that if you're like me, you are going to lots of parties, you are invited to opportunities to share your time and your stories of success with other people. But when you're at those parties and when you're spending time with people, you are eating and drinking and maybe afterward feeling like you didn't really do the best thing for yourself. Letting ourselves off the hook, of course, is important so that we don't feel down regarding how we are putting things in our body throughout this time of year. But it is a very challenging time for many people, regardless of where you are in your life. The holidays should be a time of joy and celebration, but for many people, it also comes with fear of gaining weight, of falling off the horse in terms of all the positive progress that you may have made. So I made a deliberate attempt this year to begin working with some people in the area of my health even before the holidays set in, because I knew that this was going to be a challenging time for me. And for this show, I'm actually joined by two wonderful people who I know are going to be able to give you some advice and insight as to where you can move throughout the next month, certainly, and then how you can incorporate some healthier tips into the rest of your year, so that when we get to the end of 2016, we're all able to rejoice together in excitement because we didn't fall off the horse, and we did it in a way that was very positive and rewarding and gentle on our bodies. Stay right here. We'll be right back. You're going to see me joined with a guest who I know for sure is going to bring you into a higher level of consciousness. And she's also going to give you a few great tips at the same time. We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. The Akia Garnett Show. Dedication, expectation. The Akia Garnett Show.
Hi, I'm here with Vikki Brown Battle, and she is just an amazing person who has done so much to help people make better choices when it comes to food and nutrition. I have worked with Vikki in the past, so this is a personal testimony from my perspective. I went through a major challenge where sugar was so huge for me in terms of me needing it every day. I feel like I was addicted to sugar. I needed it in terms of desserts, ice creams, cookies, cakes, pies, all of that stuff. It just did it for me. And I knew that I needed to depart from that kind of eating. I didn't know how to do it. And when I began working with Vikki, she helped me to adopt a plant-based diet lifestyle. And that was perfect for me because it just introduced me to a different world altogether. When I first started working with Vikki, I moved toward veganism, and then she introduced me to what it means to be a raw vegan. And I did that for some time, and it was just an amazing experience because it showed me how I could feed my body at the cellular level. And that cellular level feeding for me was everything because it gave me so much energy. It gave me an opportunity to just think more clearly because my mind wasn't clouded. My body felt so much better. I was able to get out there and move around and exercise and do things I hadn't done in a long time. And just the body of knowledge that comes along with that kind of eating and lifestyle is just an eye-opening experience altogether. Now, Vikki is with Ingredients for Life, and I've asked her to come on with me and share a few tips with us out here in the world who find themselves very busy and unable to keep up with what is required in order to build and maintain a healthy eating and lifestyle. How you doing, Vikki?
Hey, Akia. Good to be with you this morning.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank you on air for everything that you have done for me, all the ways you have taught me to eat better and treat my body better. I am so, in debt to you for that because I know so much more about what's required to build my energy, to keep my energy going, to support a healthy heart, to feed myself better, and to just live better overall. And I owe a huge thank you to you for that.
Well, I had to pass on to you the information that I had. And so I thank you for trusting me to be able to give you the information that also helped me in my life too. So I appreciate that. And that's what it really is about. It's about sharing the information because, just as you said, lots of people just don't have the information. They just don't know. And the standard American diet these days is not what we grew up thinking it was. It's actually what the acronym, if you took standard American diet, it spells SAD. And it's a sad diet in some instances. And we just need to tweak it a lot more. We need to go back to basics, which are fruits and vegetables, produce, nuts, green leafy vegetables, grains, and those are the things, beans, legumes, those are the things that really fortify our bodies. And as you mentioned, feed us on a cellular level. And so we're not as sluggish. We have more energy. Our skin is vibrant. You can talk about beautiful, there's no way you cannot eat the earth and not be beautiful. Flowers are beautiful, green trees, they're strong. And so those are the things that we need to really, really thrive, and we can.
Wow. So Vikki, one of the things that you helped me to do even before I moved down that journey of feeding myself at the cellular level was to educate me and to help me understand which books are available out there so that I can become knowledgeable in the area of better eating and better living. Can you give out just a few of those books that you would recommend people start with if a plant-based diet is something that they are interested in?
Both books and documentaries. Sometimes, we live in this fast-paced world. We don't have time to sit down and read a book, and that's fine. You can go online and you can do Audible, but books like Food Matters, Hungry for Change. Dr. Colin Campbell has a book called The China Study. There is the Planet Eat. There are all kinds of books out there. There are books on veganism, on raw vegan, on there's a paleo diet, which isn't all produce, but a lot of it is. And so eating is, everybody is not going to want to be a vegan, and everybody's not going to want to, eat meat. You may meet somewhere in between. And so I think food is bio-individuality. And so you have to find out what works best for you. But I think we can all agree, even the medical scientists, doctors, will say that eating a more plant-based diet, thumbs down, thumbs up, is going to be best for everybody. So if you're going to eat meat, I would say make sure you know where your meat is coming from, that you try to do as organic as you possibly can. But, look into some of the documentaries, go online to YouTube, and just put in plant-based diet, and you'll come up with all kinds of videos that'll be able to point you in the right direction. And it's precept upon precept. You start with something small, and once you start adding in the good stuff, the bad stuff will just fall away.
And I started this by asking Vikki to share a few books, because educating ourselves on the front end is so important. I, know so many people have told me that they've gone out, they've bought juicers, and they just started and jumped into the lifestyle of trying to increase their plant eating and intake of plants. And that's a very good thing. But sometimes, especially if we don't know what ingredients, we're using or what those plants consist of, it may turn out to not be very good for us at all. And we may find that we have an imbalance. There are so many people who, may have tried to become a vegan or live that lifestyle or vegetarian lifestyle or whatever, and found that biologically it just wasn't the best fit for their body and for their physiological build. And so it's important on the front end to educate ourselves if we're thinking of transitioning to a different lifestyle that requires us to modify our diet and food take altogether. And so that's why I wanted to start out with some of those resources, because Vikki has a plethora. She's got a huge library of books and so forth. And so one thing that I wanted to ask Vikki also to do is to just address how we can move closer to incorporating things in our diet, especially for those of us who are so busy, the busy professionals, the working professionals out there who just don't have time to try to figure out how to do all this stuff, but want to do something on the go every day. Vikki, what can you share with people that they can start doing easily? Do you have a recipe or something that you can share with us today?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. So I wanted to talk about juicing since I know that's really one of your favorites to do. And juicing is great. And as you have attested to, a lot of people don't have time to juice. They think it's complicated, and it does that, take a few minutes to chop up the fruit and the vegetables and then to put them through the juicer, whether it's a centrifugal or a masticating juicer. It just depends on what you want to do. But you don't have to make it really hard. You can take something as simple as a pineapple and some spinach. And if you like a little heat, you can add like a couple of like jalapeno peppers, and you just juice that up, and you would be surprised at the flavors that you would get. If you don't have like herbs like cilantro or basil, you can always use, if you're into essential oils, just take a drop of essential oil and add it to it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as you'd like, and you will still be able to get a meal. And I know a lot of you guys know smoothies. People are doing smoothies all over town, the smoothie bars and all. And sometimes people don't want to drink a green smoothie. So this morning I'm going to make a chocolate smoothie for you. It'll be sort of like what you call a frappuccino. So it'll consist of cocoa, what you guys normally call cocoa powder, which is it's cacao, C-A-C-A-O. It's the cacao bean. It's what all chocolates derive from. They come from the cacao bean. These are cacao nibs, and I don't know if you can see this, but they're really little tiny. They look like coffee beans, but this is actually the cacao bean that all chocolate comes from. So we're going to use that. We're going to have a little bit of almond butter, some coconut oil, and you can melt this down if you wanted to. Simply, if I roll this through my hands for a little minute, it'll start melting. But this is a high-speed blender, so it'll grind it down. I'm going to use some frozen bananas, and that's another thing. So you take ripe bananas for your sweetener, and just they're cheap at the market. So you buy a bunch of them, you peel them down, break them in little pieces, put them in a Ziploc bag, and throw them in your freezer. And then when you need to make a smoothie, you just take out one, or two halves, and then you put them in your blender and blend them up. So that'll make your smoothie sweet, it'll make it cold, and it'll make it creamy.
Wow.
Right?
So Vikki, hey, so when you're getting your ingredients, are you getting them from just a local store? Or are you going to a farmer's market, or just do whatever you can each time?
Yeah, farmers markets are great, but everybody can't get to them. So if you have a grocer at the corner, that's fine. I typically like to go organic, but with bananas, you're not eating the skin, so you can peel it down and get the conventional bananas. That's just fine. Mm-hmm. So but if you can have a farmers market, it's good to support your local farmers. And it's also, they have fantastic produce, and the prices are a lot cheaper too.
Right. That was my next question for you from a budgeting perspective. I mean, this doesn't break your budget, especially if you're buying in bulk and you're freezing like you just said.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, people say, well, it's so expensive to eat healthy. And I'm like, well, it's so expensive to not either, because you're talking about diabetes and cancer and high blood pressure. And so you're going to spend the money. Where do you want to spend it? On your health or on your death?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so adding in the cacao powder. And the other thing about cacao powder than the processed chocolate is that you could have this every day and you could still lose weight and you would be great. Now the almond butter is a little fatty, and as is the coconut oil, but guess what? They're great fats, and we need fats. Like if you had an egg and bacon and cheese sandwich, that's fat, but it's not the fat that's good for you. These are really healthy fats. And I don't have a spoon, so I'm gonna step away for a minute.
And I do, agree that eating healthy and incorporating more plants into our diets, especially the exotic plants, can be a bit more expensive. but it feels so great.
It feels good.
Psychologically, it feels great. Physically, it feels great to just be in a better and a healthier space. So I say that if I'm not able to get those new shoes or get that new whatever, but my body feels better and my mind is so much clearer and I can think that, I say it's worth the investment.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and you're worth it. The other thing that I do is I try to.
So what's that you're pouring in, Vikki?
This is cashew milk.
Okay.
Now, I like to make my own milk, but you can buy it. They have nut milks everywhere, and even in some of the traditional grocery stores, and, you know, other than like Mom's and Wegmans and Whole Foods, but you know, Giant sells nut milk. Safeway sells nut milk, and it's really easy. It's really easy to make, and it tastes a lot better too. So that was this cashew milk.
Okay, great.
But I wanted to address something you just mentioned too, about. I repurpose everything. So like when I make my nut milk, for instance, I take the meal from after making the milk, and I use it to make crackers and cookies in my dehydrator. So when I do my juicing, I keep because I try to use all organic produce, I keep all of the pulp and I reuse it. I make, you know, vegetable bars or fruit bars. So I make fruit roll-ups for my grandchildren sometimes. So you can repurpose. So you're getting your money's worth.
And, you know, Vikki, you're so ahead of the curve. I felt so geeked out when I was, you know, drinking my wheatgrass shots and eating my dehydrated kale chips and dehydrated fruit. And it's so good. This was years ago. And it's so good to now see this commonplace everywhere I go. I'm seeing people talking about kale chips, and they've just become so popular over the last few years. But this is something that you've been hip to for a long time. You know, that's just, you know, I mean, we can just go so far into the ways in which Vikki helps people prepare plant-based dieting, you know, and foods for themselves. And it's amazing. We can only scratch the surface in this conversation, but I'm going to turn back over to you, Vikki, because are you ready to show us the blending for this smoothie?
Yes, this is going to get a little loud, but I just wanted to mention, so this is going to be chocolatey, it's going to be nutty, it's going to be creamy. If you're a coffee drinker and you're trying to wean yourself off of coffee, you could add a little touch of organic coffee extract, and you would be fine. And if you wanted to sprinkle in a little bit of the instant espresso, you could do that.
Oh gosh, I am such a coffee drinker. So what juicer are you using, Vikki? What juicer are you using?
Now this is it's a blender. It's a Blendtec. I have a mix, but I like the Blendtec. I like both of them. You know, you make new friends and you keep the old. But the Blendtec, the carafe is wider. It doesn't have a blade at the bottom, but it's so powerful. So when you if you have to stick your finger down there to get the last bit of whatever you've made, you don't have to have your finger being cut or anything. So it's really an incredible machine. And it also has a little smaller thing if you need it, just for smaller portions. So here's the, I'm going to work, so I'm going to put it in a jar, and save your jars with tops on them because they're all like mason jar material. So you don't have to go out and buy dozens of mason jars. Just if you have condiments or, you know, your salsa that you have for the football game, rinse those things out, clean them, and then use them, and you pour in your smoothies, and then you have a jar on the go. And these freeze really well too.
Wow.
So
that's great. You know, and Vikki, I will tell you that Vikki has different types of packages when working with people. I took the lazy route, and Vikki did my juicing and blending for me. And I would pick up my packages from her, and that would sustain me for a couple days. But I know you have different packages for people who really want to take some of this on at home as well. And so can you just share with us a little bit about the different ways in which you help people and we'll let you go, but we also want to make sure that people know how to get in contact with you, Vikki, in case they're interested in finding out more about Ingredients for Life.
Yes, well, I do. I have a website. I do quite a few things. I do fragrances and body butters too. My website is just Vikki Scents at it's justvikkisense.com. So that's JustVikkiScents.com. Also on there, you'll see Ingredients for Life. It'll be an acronym, I for Life Services, and it'll show you I do a detox program. I coach people through, as Akia had mentioned, through whatever dietary journey they'd like to take, and I kind of help them along with that. And I do juicing, I do food, I do catering. I just graduated from Matthew Kinney's culinary school, the plant-based lab in Maine. So, give me a call if you're interested.
Great. Vikki, what's your phone number?
My phone number is 202-309-0098.
All right, that's for people who still like to pick up the phone and call someone. So you've got Vikki's phone number, you've got her URL, it's justvikkisense.com. Reach out to her, find out more about how she is helping people transition from unhealthy eating and unhealthy living to healthy eating and healthy living. She helped me, and not only did she help me with learning how to eat better, but also with experiencing that entire process. And so I thank you again, Vikki, for spending some of your time with us this morning.
Thank you.
And we look forward to bringing you back on the show in the future. Maybe you'll do another recipe for us and show us how to do something else.
I definitely would love that.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
The Akia Garnett Show. The Akia Garnett Show. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Will inspire and empower you, giving you the tools to build your brand. It's a new day for a new way to bring your vision to pass. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Teaching strategies that you need, empowering you to succeed. She has a plan to help build your brand. Oh yeah, if you wanna go far, she'll take you from where you are. She's here to motivate, here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Inspiration, motivation. The Akia Garnett Show. Recreation, reformation. The Akia Garnett Show. Dedication, expectation. The Akia Garnett Show.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that segment with me and Vikki Battle Brown. It was a great conversation and a great opportunity to spend time with her talking about some of the things that she has done for me and with me, which is to help me get on a healthier eating bandwagon. It, really has been a lifelong challenge. And I know that it will probably be a lifelong challenge to come. But, I'm in it to continue trying. And as I continue trying, I'll continue sharing with other people where I have found successes and also leaning on people where I feel like I need additional support. I am excited now because we are joined with Gayle Arnold. And Gayle is just someone that I felt like I wanted to help her share her message of living and eating well with the world. Gayle, welcome to the Akia Garnett Show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. When I saw all of the things that you do and the ways in which you're helping people, I said, I have got to have her on. How did you get your start in living well? And can you just share a little bit about your slogan with us? Because I just think that's an amazing thing that people can grasp and understand right away.
Well, in 2010, I was living a life that didn't feel good to me, and I was very unhappy. And I have a lot of dreams that I've always wanted to pursue, and I didn't feel like I was able to do those. So I sort of took a big leap, and I became certified as an Institute of Integrative Nutrition Health Coach. And in 2011, I started my coaching practice. I sort of believe that, or not sort of, I do believe that all of us are here to live a life that we love and to be happy while we're doing that. And to do those things, we want to feel good. A lot of us have forgotten how to feel good, or we've decided that we have given away our dreams, and we can't feel good to achieve those dreams. So my focus is to help people, support people on this journey to feeling good so that they can live the life that they really love.
Wonderful. And you talk about eating better and feeling better. And to me, that makes sense. But you go really deep into that whole concept of feeling better. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think that feeling good means a lot of things. And it has a lot to do with mindset. A lot of people tell me that they would like to do a lot of things, but they just don't feel good. So it could be with food, it could be with their relationships, it could be with a job or whatever, but it all affects how they feel. So changing the way we look at the world, the things we put into our body, what we surround ourselves with, can support our desire to feel good. And of course, putting food in your body, and the food that you eat, is going to make you feel good. So.
And what exactly is an integrative nutrition health coach?
An integrative nutrition health coach is a wellness advocate and a supportive mentor who motivates clients to make healthy changes. Health coaches educate and serve their clients to achieve their health goals through lifestyle and behavior modifications or adjustments.
Yeah, and this is something that you just gravitated toward, or were you okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
When I spoke with the people at the IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition, when I talked to them, when I was at a low point in my life, and as soon in our conversation, I just felt like this was the tribe I needed to be with. So.
And what do you find to be the common nutrition challenges that people face? Because, since I was a kid, I always learned about the 5 food groups. Is it the 5 food, or is it the 4 food groups, or the 5 food groups? And learned very early on, what to eat, and really focused on 3 squares a day. And we've moved so far away from that whole concept of getting these 3 meals a day. And now it's sometimes you hear 6 meals a day or 6 smaller meals a day. And what do you find to be the common challenges?
Well, I think when you talk to people and hear those things, we are trying to find our solution from outside. We've forgotten how to listen to our body. Everybody is different. Everybody requires different things. So we've sort of been marketed to that we need to do things this way or this way or this way. And of course, all of us want to be healthy and all of us want to feel good. So we'll take somebody else's solution that maybe doesn't necessarily work with our body and use that, and we still don't get what we are trying to achieve. So I believe that if we start listening to our body and make choices from the inside out instead of from the outside in, then we'll feel better.
Wow, so you think that the major challenge is that we don't listen to our bodies?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And one of the other things I've seen you say is that food is medicine to the body, and that when we eat, we really are healing ourselves through the foods, or not healing ourselves through the foods that we're putting into our bodies. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, our body has an intuitive desire to be healthy, and it knows how to heal itself. So that if we listen to what our body's saying, and instead of, if our body starts to whisper, if we pay attention to that, instead of when our body starts to scream and then we have to, go to the doctor or get medication. That was one of the things I learned in IIN, that we when we begin to listen to what our body's saying to us and making the choices of the choices that our body desires,
Yeah.
then our body can heal itself.
Wow, and that was very powerful when you said when our body starts to whisper.
Right.
We should be paying attention to that. What are some examples of, ways in which our bodies can whisper? Because I would love to know some of those things.
Well, I believe that all health begins in the digestive tract, health and unhealth. And if we're having constant stomach upsets, if we are having other issues, skin irritations, if we aren't able to get a good night's sleep, or we don't have energy, your body is giving you little messages something isn't working properly or efficiently. So, if we don't pay attention to that, if we mask it with medications or take things that really aren't good for us anyway, to mask over that little message, then it becomes a larger whisper, and then eventually it'll start screaming. Screaming can show up as in major skin irritations, inflammation, arthritis, weight gain, heart problems, blood sugar imbalance, thyroid issues. Then your body's screaming, and then we have to intervene with stronger ways.
Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the Akia Garnett Show.
The Akia Garnett Show. The Akia Garnett Show. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Will inspire and empower you, giving you the tools to build your brand. It's a new day for a new way to bring your vision to pass. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Teaching strategies that you need, empowering you to succeed. She has a plan to help build your brand. Oh yeah, if you wanna go far, she'll take you from where you are. She's here to motivate, here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Inspiration, motivation. The Akia Garnett Show. Recreation, reformation. The Akia Garnett Show. Dedication, expectation. The Akia Garnett Show.
Welcome back. I'm still here with Gayle Arnold, and we are talking about eating better and feeling better. And we're going to pick up the conversation where we dropped off and talking about the digestive tract and how important it is for us to be watchful, and be listening to some of the whispers that our bodies could be giving us or telling us so that we can make better decisions. How important is the whole digestive tract in this conversation and in the whole movement toward living better and feeling better?
Well, as I said, all health begins there. Good health, bad health. So if we start focusing on healing and repairing our digestive tract, balancing our gut microbiome, keeping bacteria in the place that it needs to be, then and calming down inflammation in the digestive tract, then we'll start feeling better and we'll start making better choices. And so I believe that beginning there, no matter what, any kind of lifestyle choices that you're making, if you begin healing your digestive tract, then you're going to make better choices all around. Everybody has, our digestive tract is impacted by foods that aren't good for our body, stress, which stress can show up in many different ways. It can be the stress of living the life that we're living, stress of lack of sleep, stress of over-exercise or not enough exercise, or eating foods that aren't good for our individual body. Everybody requires different foods. Everybody requires a different amount of sleep. Everybody requires a different balance in stress. So, and it all impacts your digestive tract.
You know, Vikki Brown, she talked about bioindividuality, and I know that's something that you talk a lot about as well. What is that, and how does it impact each of us differently?
Well, each one of us requires different things to be healthy, and so when you we're not one size fits. It's not a one size fits all solution. Bioindividuality is focusing on the uniqueness of each person. So, as a health coach, what I do is serve clients individually in their uniqueness. We find what foods work for their body, foods that don't cause inflammation, foods that calm down cortisol, foods that create more energy or work with their body. So it's not a one size fits all. You know, everybody doesn't respond in the same way to everything. So we find out what works for each person.
Wow. And when you are working with people and helping them understand their own bio-individual makeup, I guess, what tends to be, you know, the challenges associated with people actually accepting, you know, that this is what works best for me, and now I've got to move away from some things that aren't good for me because there is good reason for it.
Right. Well, I think when I talk, the first thing that people tell me when I speak with clients, they say, well, I just don't have time to do that. My philosophy is all the things that require all that time, that require you to be there or do something or respond or whatever, requires your body. And if your body isn't able to do those things, then you know, nobody can experience you. So my philosophy is take care of yourself first. If it means that you have to take some extra time to make your smoothie in the morning or to stop and get some extra rest, make that priority. So you're first so that you can do what you need to do to support everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. And I mean, that goes into some of the tips that you've shared with people regarding making some of these changes. When you are working with people and they are moving toward healthier living and healthier eating, how long have you seen people take to get on to a track where they feel as if they've got it? They're in the zone. They are living what they wanted to live, even though every day it's still a challenge, but at least they've got some comfort in that new normal.
Well, initially, when people are ready to make change, mindset is so important. You have to decide, I want to make change. Whatever is impacting your life, if it's causing you to not do the things that you love doing, to enjoy, you know, all the beauty there is in the world, then it's time to make a change. But you have to decide. So it depends on the person. There's the bio-individuality, you know, how committed you are. You know, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. A lot of the things that we do that aren't necessarily healthy for us are habit. So because our lifestyle is pretty hectic and requires a lot of, you know, a lot of us, a lot of parts of us, we have created habits that probably aren't healthy for us. So again, it's that take care of yourself first before you do those other things. So you know, for each person it could be a different time frame. You know, you can go for 2 or 3 months and make the changes, and then all of a sudden something happens and you fall back into a habit that maybe made you feel good, that is not necessarily good for you, you know, in the long run.
Are you getting lots of calls now because it is close to the end of the year and people are thinking about New Year's? And, you know, I talked a little bit about those statistics earlier in the show, but 45% of Americans do make, you know, some sort of resolution. Not that we all stick with it, but it is at the top of our minds. I would imagine that this is a very busy time for you.
Well, yes. I think the thing with making resolutions is, again, that's sort of like a habit thing that we don't follow through with. And if you make a resolution to make one change for, do it in chunks for maybe 2 months. Say, I'm going to take 2 months and I'm going to make one smoothie every single morning, for every single morning, and see, and then it becomes part of your life. It becomes a habit that you don't have to think about. But when you're changing your habits, the first thing you have to do is it has to become conscious. I'm consciously making this change, and again, this is important to me. This is really important to me, how I'm going through my life, how I want my life to be 6 months from now or a year from now.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just geeking out on all this stuff. I just love it. I love to hear about it. I feel like when I hear about these topics and talk about them, it moves me that much closer to making good decisions regarding my health. And now, let me ask you, because I know that food allergies are so, big now. I mean, back in the day, people just weren't getting allergy tests. And if there was something that really wasn't working well for us, we didn't always associate it with being allergic, that maybe we just didn't like how we felt, but we might still do it, Now allergy testing and allergies with foods, are so accommodating in terms of the types of things that you can buy out there. How is the allergy sort of issue affecting the ways in which you work with people?
well, there are a lot of allergies, a lot of food sensitivities, and a lot of that has to do with our food supply. Our food supply has been very contaminated. And unfortunately, some of those habits that we haven't taken the time to educate ourselves into what's really good for us, or to look at what we're eating, to really look at what we're eating. So I think that when you're focusing on calming down your digestive tract, then you're going to find out if you have food sensitivities. Food sensitivities can be caused, from toxins on the food, in the air, things we put on our body, which leads to lots of different things. It can lead to imbalance in hormones. It can lead to skin eruptions. It can lead to leaky gut syndrome, which is, I think we all have different levels of that.
What is that, leaky gut syndrome?
So our digestive tract is made up of, it's one cell thick. It's one cell that separates the contents of our digestive tract from the rest of our body. So what happens with leaky gut, it's exactly what that is. From inflammation in the body or in your digestive tract, the cells come apart. And the contents of your digestive tract, undigested food, medications, things that just aren't good for us, sugar, leaks out into the body and causes inflammation. So there are ways that we can do that we can heal that through supplements and herbs and the right foods, so you can calm that down. But that's pretty prevalent.
Yeah. We could spend a whole segment talking about just that in itself.
Yes.
Something that I shared earlier in the show also is just what I felt was addiction to sugar. How do you work with people who do have a sweet tooth and getting them away from those cravings and moving toward natural foods that still have a sweetness to them, but it certainly is a different kind of sweet?
Well, the first thing I do is I like to work with my clients through a 15-day reset, and that is based on an elimination protocol. That's where we begin by eliminating all foods that are known to cause allergies, and sugar is one of those. So sugar is actually very, very addictive, and it's so prevalent in our food system. So when you remove sugar, it's going to cause a sort of like a detoxing effect. But once you're off of it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you don't have those same cravings. And the sweet foods, of course, sweet fruits and sweet root vegetables, those will satisfy those cravings, those sugar cravings. And then when you have something with a lot of sugar in it, you'll just be like, oh God, this is too much sugar. So.
Well, great. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the Akia Garnett Show.
The Akia Garnett Show. The Akia Garnett Show. Here to recreate.
Gayle has been so gracious to share with us some tips for loving your body so you can live the life you love. And these tips that she has shared with us, I feel, are going to be very helpful as you move toward whatever it is that you're going to move toward in your new lifestyle. The tips that Gayle has shared with us are putting ourselves first. So Gayle says we should put ourselves first. And what exactly does that mean, Gayle?
Well, do things that make you feel good. You know, take care of your, get enough sleep, get the right amount of exercise, manage stress, get the right amount of stress and the right amount of not good stress.
Okay, and then you say we should be eating breakfast no matter what.
Yes.
That's a tough one, I know.
Yes.
Sometimes we're just flying by, but you're saying this is very important.
Yes, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It sets up your body to manage blood sugar throughout the day. Blood sugar impacts your hormones, of course, weight gain, your energy level, your focus.
Great. And some of the other tips that Gayle shared with us are limit or remove sugar, eat more fat. Sounds like we shouldn't be doing that, but Gayle says that we should be. Eating protein is important. Increasing our veggies. She said we should have at least 1 pound of veggies per day. Exercise, which is something you certainly just said. And checking your mindset. Remembering how important it is to think uplifting things and to eliminate those things that drag us down is another one of Gayle's tips. You can see all of this at Gayle's website, which is gayleswellness.com. And I thank you so much for spending this time with us today on the Akia Garnett Show. Gayle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Akia.
I hope this was a worthwhile experience for you,
thank
being
you so
able to
much.
share with people at the end of the year how they can move toward healthier living and healthy eating. Thank you again for tuning in to the Akia Garnett Show. We'll see you next time.
The Akia Garnett Show. The Akia Garnett Show. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Will inspire and empower you, giving you the tools to build your brand. It's a new day for a new way to bring your vision to pass. Here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Teaching strategies that you need, empowering you to succeed. She has a plan to help build your brand. Oh yeah, if you wanna go far, she'll take it from where you are. She's here to motivate, here to recreate. The Akia Garnett Show. Inspiration, motivation. The Akia Garnett Show. Recreation, reformation. The Akia Garnett Show. Dedication, expectation. The Akia Garnett Show.